I'm guessing the audio will be great since I'm standing in a reflective umbrella. Okay. Hey, we're gonna record a video way out of order, and I'm gonna edit it out of order too because I think it's funny. Hey guys, I know it's been a while. It's Dusty DM. Today we're gonna talk about something excruciatingly important. Maybe. I don't know. Casting stuff out of resin is really fun. Super fun. And you can do it at home. You can do it way cheaper than the money that I put into it because, I'm an obsessive idiot, so I can't really help that. I live in Pennsylvania, the lovely Keystone State, and one of our very oldest companies in Pennsylvania is a company called Smooth On. You might have never heard of them. If you watch Adam Savage's Tested, you have seen these measured cups all over the place. Smooth On is one of the loveliest things to ever happen. And I'll tell you why. They make resins. They make mold material, and they sell in bulk, which is amazing. So if you have any interest in, say, the Hearst Arts molds, for those who love scenery, stuff like that, Hearst Arts is, if you haven't heard of it yet, Hearst Arts is absolutely one of the loveliest companies out there making easy to use molds. They are dungeon tile molds. He does walls, all kinds of boards, weird stuff. Great company. The link is in the description in case you happen to be new to this world of the D&D hobby. You can cast Hearst Arts in plaster, or you can cast it in resin. I know what you're thinking, but my hobby shop, my craft store, if I cast anything that took a large amount of density, it'd cost me an arm and a leg. Well, it sure would. But today is demystifying that a little bit. I am going to cast this mold that I've made. This mold that I've made is going to be paint holders. Paint pot holders that you mount to the wall. They're great. They're available. Drop me a line for now until I get a shop open. I'm going to use Smoothcast 320, which I had the opportunity to go to Smooth On just mostly for the fun of it. It is, when buying in their volumes, you can buy this mold material, which is Moldstar 31T. You can buy a sample size of it, which it's an A to B, no measurement. It's an even A to B. That's why I went with this mold material. Also because hyper dense, super dense, great tear strength, which means that my big monkey paws are not going to have an easy time yanking this thing in half. And believe me, they are definitely monkey paws. Just ask your mom. And with this being an A to B mold, if you are working with, maybe you've carved tiles and you want to be able to cast them in resin. If you got the sample kit, which I believe it's 2.2 pounds of A and B, so a sum total of 4.4 pounds, I think. I'm not really positive on that. But Moldstar 31T, the other reason I bought it, it is fast cure. It takes 30 minutes for a full mold to cure, which is impressive. I don't need a gram scale. I don't need anything with it. Just eyeball it, get them close enough, mix them together, pour a blank. Pour the mold, great. Half hour later, it's done. Ready to demold and start producing. It's resistant towards resin. It's resistant to heat. So the high heat of resin, when resin is poured, the A and B parts of resin are thermogenic. That's the resin process. So resin cures by heating itself. The catalyst heats up the material. So I believe the A is the material and the B with smooth cast is the catalyst. So you mix them together and the B heats up the A and it becomes a white plastic. So, lovely product, lovely thing. Yes, I know if you went to any art supply store and even with a coupon, the volume that you're gonna get out of the resin kits there, it's just not enough. It's still even extremely wasteful. I bought, because I had the ability to drive 2 hours on a sudden day that I called in sick to work. Don't tell my boss. I'm just kidding. Do tell them. I really don't care. They don't care either. It's fine. But I took a 2-hour drive in the morning, got up there, and because I had drove, I saved on shipping and I bought the 5-gallon bucket size of the Smooth Cast 320, which is, I believe it was $339 for the 5 gallons, and it's 2 5-gallon buckets. Therefore, it is 10 gallons worth of resin. It's A to B. It's an even mix, A to B. It's 1-to-1. So I can cast and not spend an insane amount of money. If this was a few years ago when I was casting Hurt Starts out of plaster and I found this out, I would have absolutely gone up there and bought this resin, because Smooth Cast 320, you can see it all over the place here. It's great, sandable, paintable, dense, break resistant. I've dropped quite a few of these paint holders and not an issue. I did just drop one and it did snap though, which kind of defeats what I said, but who cares? It happens. Sometimes it's one of those random times where everything came together. So, here we go. Let's go ahead and pour this. And I know that this mold takes about 11 ounces worth of resin to make 10 of these paint pot holders. Because of their size, their height, their thingy. Okay. There you go. Got a nice honey brown amber. Gonna grab a popsicle stick, craft stick, whatever you'd like to call it. All right, gonna give it a swoosh. You'll see it's cloudy in there a little bit. And then it's gonna look even at one point. Now, this Smooth Cast 320 is a 3-minute pot life, which means that as soon as it's stirred, get it where it's going. And for those unfamiliar with casting, what you're gonna do is you have your primary mold. You have whatever object that you're going to cast, you are going to fill that first. And in your workspace, you want to always keep a secondary project, something else that you have that you like, that you cast a lot of, so that your excess doesn't just go to waste in the bottom of this cup. Okay, so I know that 3 minutes sure sounds intense and like I need to rush, but it's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. It's not like there's no 5-alarm fire here. We didn't eat your uncle's chili and everybody's running to the bathroom to get there first. You know, things like that. It's not that kind of intensity. Could be, I guess. But there you go. Just gonna smooth that out so they're nice and ready to go. Self-leveling, you're gonna want, and so we see in this cup, I got a decent amount here left over, undone. I estimated, and since it's an 11-ounce pour, this cup is graduated in even numbers. It's got a 12 on it. Easiest way for me to go is to do 6 and 6. So here I have a secondary mold waiting and ready to go, just in case, so that we're not wasting it. The secondary mold is another figure holder, and that's what I'm going to make a mold of here in a moment so that I can show you the entire process. Guys, I'm not here to proselytize. I can feel this cup getting warm. I'm not here to proselytize about Smooth On. I will say that my experience with them has been incredible every time that I've used them. They are very effective, and if you're nearby, it is so fun to go to their store. They specialize in mold rubbers, they specialize in resins, in things that are used for special effects, in things that are used for sculpting. And when you go in, the lobby is huge dragons. I overheard somebody that was there giving someone else a tour. They were talking about how Smooth On was hired to do the dragon at the Harry Potter Universal Park for the Gringotts Escape. They do amazing work, and their products are fascinating to work with. They're super fun to learn, and they do make trial sizes of everything, and most of those trial size kits are available on Amazon Prime. So you don't have to be a nut like me and go and spend an exorbitant amount of money because it's a part of the hobby you like so much. You can just jump on Amazon and get anything. This rubber, this Moldstar 31T is awesome. It's a great rubber. This is Mold Max 30. The Mold Max line requires a gram scale. My resin is already curing. Thermogenesis, isn't it beautiful? It's better than no jacket required. That is a Phil Collins joke. That's also a Genesis joke. Good luck. And this is Umu. This is the Umu 30. This is very, the reason I didn't go with this is also this is a 2-part even number resin. So this is an even A to B for the pour. I got a sample of this and poured a couple of things. And the only reason that I didn't get it again was because the tear strength is just not quite there for the delicate things or the massive things like this. If I wanted to wrestle these guys, since they're a cup, they have mold inside of here and it creates a suction point. So I need something with a high density to wrestle with that I'm not going to tear straight through. High tear strength matters. Here's another one I got out of that Umu mold. The test size for the Umu was $27.90. I think it was $27 or $29.95 on Amazon. Cheap and easy, and a lot of material because it's a 1-to-1. You're getting 2.2 pounds of A and B. That's a lot of volume. It's why it's just a little more effective, and it stretches a little bit. It's always better to go over, but even with those size molds, I got a lot out of it. And yeah, I was gonna say I still have mold making material, and just didn't want to idly make something silly that I wasn't gonna use a lot of. But here we are, as this is curing, standing here through the thermogenic process. Beautiful. We got a nice little sheen here. I don't know if you can see it. The oily sheen is coming up, and that guy's a little low, but that's okay. Guess what? Anything that I make a mistake on goes on my wall. That way it's not wasted. Anyway, so I will be, yeah, so the reason I do have this mold now is because, yeah, I made ones that are on a 2-inch by 2-inch base out of Hearst Arts products that I'd cast a long time ago. I sculpted a master and made a mold of a single one of them. It has a 2 by 2-inch square base. I thought it looked cool. It takes up a lot of space. Without the base, it is more effective to honeycomb these on a wall. And yeah, so as a fundraiser for the channel, gonna make you some stuff and sell you some stuff instead of just asking you to pay me. because, life's a little sporadic sometimes. Well, that's okay with me. So, all right. Well, as this gets done here, this has a recommended demold time of 6 to 10 minutes, something like that. He is so short. I'm just surprised by that. One of the other fun things to know about these resins is that if I had the dead-on math, like I did for when I did my project last weekend for my home, which ended up being 280 of the molds of the 2x2 square base, I had the math worked out for the volume almost exactly, and I would have a small amount of excess. Very, very small. So I had this mold next to me. And the fun thing about this Smooth Cast 320 is that, and other thermogenic resins, is that if I filled him a third of the way with excess, and then the next time I poured my excess on top of a partial mold, it comes together. It's a seamless. It glues itself back together. It's lovely. And so, yeah, I might actually leave him in and put a better base on him. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'll take him out. Anyway. All right. We'll be back. I'm rambling. All right. So, we are back. Gonna demold these guys. Like I said about tear strength, it's important, especially when you got to monkey through stuff. Boop. Nice density. So there it is. That is the glory of Smooth Cast 320. Nice white. Gonna come in and sand these edges down. Get the rest of them out of there. Yep. Bright white, primable, paintable. And yeah, I'm gonna get around to painting some of these here in a second or two. But first, we're gonna do something more important than that. Learn to grow up and not make your mom jokes so often. Okay. So, these guys are, I think these are wood candle holders. I think that's where these came from originally. But they fit my hands really nicely. I'm starting to get carpal tunnel in my left hand, which is my dominant hand. Of course it is. And so I've been making these with my extras, my extra resin. Yep. So, just to show you the mold making process, we're going to make a mold together. Yay. All right. So, box is already cut and ready to go. Got our dudes here. I have no idea why I keep staring at the camera. It's kind of silly and unnecessary. Let's adjust here a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, this is Mold Star 31T. It's an A to B mold. It's a 1-to-1 mold. So the first step in making a mold box is clearing up your workspace. First step, this is dollar store foam core. I am not particular about every part of every process because I realize it puts me in a weird mode where I'm working too hard about getting every detail right before even doing the damn thing. So after watching a lot of Adam Savage's Tested and One Day Builds, stuff like that, one of the sculptors for McFarlane Toys appears on there a lot. And it seems like from watching his work that sometimes you don't have to worry so much about a distinct flavor when it comes to, you don't have to make the prettiest of mold boxes, because guess what? Once your mold is set, you're done with it. You don't really need to focus a lot of energy and effort on building up little Lego walls, which, great method for sure. But this is a lot easier. This is a whole lot easier. So, I've got my glue gun warming up. In case you see me on the floor. No, you wouldn't. Either way, my glue sticks ended up on the floor for some reason. They're magic like that. That's just something that happens. All right, so let's get this nice and warm. We'll start. We'll just hang out here for a second. So, molding is super fun. Super great. I've had 3D printers before. 3D printing is awesome. Bulk 3D printing, the way that I do, is not the most effective ways to live. At one point, I had 3 Enders. Excuse me, 3 Ender 3 FDM printers that were running at all hours of the day because I had a large project of wanting to build the Halls of Undermountain 1-to-1, which is a mega dungeon in this beautiful Forgotten Realms world, and it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite module. It's my favorite mega dungeon, and boop. It just, sometimes it's easier to learn an older process, because I will say that, yeah, it'd be great to get one of the I've had my eye on the I can't remember. It's a resin printer that's crazy cheap right now. All right. Got a good amount of space between them. Got like a finger between them so that we're not worrying about tiny walls or anything like that in the mold later on. There is no real, this isn't science exactly, it's more experience that teaches most about mold making. That's one of those things that it's just it's a form of art. It's an art form. There we go. It's an art form. It's an art form in itself, which is fascinating, but it's something that, yeah, experience is going to teach you everything. Last year I got wild. I had bought a large amount of Hearst Arts molds at one point and was casting them. I cast a bunch of them, cast a bunch of each of the molds, and had them in storage, and got disinterested, and I sold off the molds, made a decent amount of my investment back, and then last year got a bug and said, you know what, it'd be really fun to try to learn how to mold. And so I tried it out, and I used Mold Max by the bucket. I didn't even measure. I just had molds that had mold boxes ready with masters ready to be poured. No measurement, just winging it, and I'd call it effective enough. It worked. But I wanted to learn more about the process, so I figured out a different way this time. So, either case, yeah. Experience, YouTube videos, stuff like that is the biggest thing, and it's good. It's always going to be, I personally find that casting molds is just a lot more effective than 3D printing at bulk things. I've cast in the week, 2 days, spent the weekend casting 300 Gerard Butlers to put on my wall. And this is silly. No, I cast nearly 300 of the based paint holders, and they're up on the wall and they're done. I didn't have to fight. I made a master by hand. I didn't have to fight settings. I didn't have to sit and wait, and that's just one of those things where I think 3D printing, especially with resin, would be lovely for the resin printer would be lovely as an auxiliary for making masters. I think it's a super effective tool to make masters that are getting ready to be molded, especially with if you could make a dungeon, if you can make a beautiful set of dungeon tiles, you're making one of them on the printer, and then you're taking that and you're making a mold out of it and casting it through, casting it with 2-part resin. You're buying in bulk. I think it's more price effective that way. And also, I think it's just a lot less headaches. You're not relying on the printer running at all times. There's a lot less fumes. I have resin out. It's on my table right this second, staring at me because the buckets, I'm not going to sit here and try to pour them together, you know. But, you know, I'm not here worrying about odd smells or anything like that. Not making sure my kids are not on the Titanic or goofy shit like that. I don't have to be rigid about safety. I don't need to worry about some bear showing up in my house telling me that I can prevent forests by wearing a gas mask every time I paint, which bothers me. You know, it bores me to death. If I have to worry more about the process than I do about the act, then it's no fun for me. And, but yeah, so 3D printing is definitely an awesome thing. I'm not disparaging it. I loved it. I really enjoyed exploring further and further and further. And I have the problem of doing stuff way too big. I certainly love the hobbies that I love, and I love them hard. Like your mom on a Friday night. And Hannah is sitting next to me, which is why I keep making your mom jokes. We needed to take a break from watching X-Files. And I needed to make something just to keep from, you know, fox moldering myself into a passionless existence. But since I obsess over anything that I really like, I don't really want to get into resin printing and then end up dropping $5 billion on a printer that I'm going to use 8 times and then be done with it, you know, which is why I want to learn other processes. They're just as fun. They are just as important. Boop. Got a big old hole in here. So we're gonna scoop that guy up. Scoop. I'm gonna scoop that glue up, make sure it's nice and filled in, fill in the hole, fill in the hole, fill in the hole. Run a bead around again, just caulk it shut. This Moldstar 31T, man, I am so happy about the extremely fast cure time. It's just something that I love. I'm not sitting here waiting an entire day to pull something out of a mold just so I can do it then. Like, nope, it's done, you know, as soon as we get it here together. This, so, all right. So this is the mold box. Yep. Ugliest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I'll bet. All right. That's it. It's about 5.5 inches wide. No, 6.5 inches wide, probably 4 tall. So we're gonna do some quick math in my head and then remember that I don't care. All right. Got our busket. Got our busket, got our shark skin boots. Let's make a mold. You can giggle, it's okay. I'm I made a Suicide Kings reference. That joke is older than that joke is older than Dennis Leary. Good Lord. All right, so we got our gallon bucket here. I'm gonna estimate I need about 12 ounces worth of mold at least to get this full, which I'm gonna make sure that over here it's touching the 8. Right about. Okay. Boop. Yeah. Well, it's touching the 8 from where I was looking. And probably from where you were looking too. It's not even close, but there's probably about 7 ounces worth of B inside of there. I get it now. The B is in the blue bucket. It's okay if nobody laughs at that one, but that totally makes sense to me. It's in the blue bucket because it's the B part. Yeah, not Captain B part either. So this is in, this is in 4s. So we were about 7. So we need to get to about 14 on this line. And that's good. I go B to A. My process is to start with the B, pour the B first, and then add the A. Because adding the B is the catalyst, the A is the material. So doing it B to A means that if I short, I'm shorting with the A, which means there's more catalyst in it and it's going to cure faster. That's all that's going to happen if I come up short. So I don't have to be too persnickety about numbers and volumes. That is just a weird little trick that I've learned in the last couple of weeks. So mix this up. Oh yeah, not too much air in there. There's a nice viscosity as well. And a cute shimmer. It's a real pretty shimmer. So I was gonna say, I'm also dyslexic, so I may be entirely wrong about all the things that I'm saying. And if that's true, sorry. Either case. But yeah, so pouring out B first and then adding A, I have not had cure failures, so that is a positive thing. And that is, so yeah, mostly my assumption, but also it seems to be right. So let's go on to pour these fellers. All right, put that right there in the sight line. This guy has a lot of air in him, but it's not going to be an issue. We're not worried about detail. There's nothing here to be crazy particular about. Let's see. I don't trust that guy right there. Hang on. Is there blue tack? I thought I had a little lump of blue tack. Is it okay to take a little bit? As you can see, this guy here, I'm not sure if I have stuff down in him that would stop that from just sieving out the mold. Okay. You can see how deeply off kilter this work table is. Okay, but just gonna take this mix, pour them right on in there. I'm gonna watch the screen while I do this because I think that's fascinating. Yeah. Look at that. You don't have to worry about high pour. You don't have to worry about any of the nonsense that you hear in other videos. There's nothing crazy hard or difficult or fickle about this. These are these are very beautiful, easy products to use. Both of them together are just simplistic. They're great starter products to get into, and they have excellent properties. Very nice to use. Grab you and throw you in there. And not difficult to understand. There's no crazy math. There's no extra junk to do, just to try and dip your toes into a thing. So, yeah. I'm going to throw links to Smooth On in the description, and because it only seems fair at this point. And then I will look to see if I can find these starters, the tester kits on Amazon, and if I do, I will throw the links in the description below. Don't worry, they are non-affiliate links. I don't care. I don't want your money. Unless I am selling you a product, which I am. Paint holders. But this is just part of this fun thing we're calling a very long, rambly video. I missed doing things. I got out of the swing of things, and it's just something that happens. Got a little held up and caught up in the rest of life. It's just a thing that goes. Okay. And okay. All right. I think I estimated a little off, so I will be right back. All right, so thankfully, the short pot life on this Moldstar 31T makes it so that I still don't have to get into a screaming rush when I under make. I came up a little shy, didn't have enough to cover entirely, and in all honesty, I'm just gonna go a little over here because I'm down to the bottom of my bucket. Yay! I have had so much fun with these buckets of mold, and they're just so goddamn useful. So, okay. Let me scoop the rest into where it's going. Yeah. It's just great stuff. It's fun. Molding is fun. But see if I can do this without being in the way. Yeah, see they disappear? That's a good sign. Got a hand of hair in this bucket somehow. Not sure how, but happy about it. There's certainly a piece of henna in all the work I do.
Oh.
Alright. Yeah, phone. Let's focus in on my dirty knuckles instead of what I'm actually doing. Smart. Yeah. So, there we go. Impulse, fun, silliness. Oh no. Heaven forbid. I'm gonna have to go back to Smooth On sometime in the near future. I've got it all over my hands. I don't like to wear gloves when I do fun stuff like this. It just makes me feel like an animal, and I like it that way. All right, so this guy's set. He is gonna he's gonna self level in here. It's gonna do whatever it wants, and in about a half hour, he's gonna be ready to yank out of this box. It's probably gonna be shorter than that, but in that time, let's go do something else. All right. So let's pretend that I didn't just do a bunch of other stuff for about an hour. Here we go. Boop. Hard as a brick. All right, so same mold. All right, go through and cut some hot glue off. Gently, so that you don't run a knife through an object and into your carotid artery or whatever artery is your femoral in your leg. Right? Yeah, femoral because femur.
That makes sense to Hannah, but
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not a science man. I am a man who is busy yanking stuff apart. Yeah, I was gonna say. As you can see, my hands look dusty, and that's because after I poured the mold, my hands got all sticky and gross. And the easiest way to keep your hands to stop feeling sticky and gross is to throw them in dirt. So I actually floured them with a diatomaceous earth that I have in a bag in my kitchen. It's food grade. I don't know why you'd eat that thing, but never know. But in any case, all right, so we're gonna rip this mold apart. Cut all these heavy corners that I do because I'm a lunatic. I like to do things in excess. Just ask Dave Navarro. He knows that I'm more in excess than he is. I hope you catch that one because there's a new wave a-coming. I'm better than making a Brett Ratner joke. Probably. I keep thinking Brett Ratner, the director, is the lady from Night Court. Who was Brett something. Not. Okay. So. Boop. Boop. I was gonna say, so I've actually been airbrushing for a little bit just because I need to take a little break from standing up. But here we are. We're gonna pop this off. I'm gonna keep watching it on the phone screen because I think it's weird and fun to do. It's like I'm watching my hands in an alternate reality. I've gone a little insane today. Sorry, everyone. So, molding process is done. Nice and haired. There we go. Looks like a donut hole. Looks like another donut hole. Looks like the label came off the paper. Yeah, Dollar Tree foam board. I have a heavy supply of it because it's great for all things, believe it or not. It's I know that DM Scotty, everybody swears by the Dollar Tree foam board because it's meant to have one side ripped off, which makes it really easy to make terrain and stuff with. So, all right. And all right. Not here to fight this all night. Brett Butler. No. Brett Michaels? Brett the Hitman Hart. All right. So, this is what makes mold lines in your objects. And all the minis you buy, you get mold lines, you got to clean them up, do all that fun stuff. And the reason it is this is because this mold is so stiff. Here, you're going to cut it in a Z. I am digging this knife in. I made an S. I made a lightning bolt. I am Thor, God of Thunder. And that way, because it's got, I just punched myself in the pelvis. I'm the best. Because this object has this valley in it, being able to open this like this means that it demolds much easier. And this is kind of one of those things where this is just personal preference. These registration marks, if you cut it in a straight line to get the mold to release, it has more of a likelihood of not settling back in correctly. So these are called registration marks. This is called registration. So these two puzzle pieces are going to go back just the way that they want to, instead of the straight line where they could be off by a bunch. Gonna cut that guy. Gonna flip this over. There I am again. Two different realities. Okay. And I am pushing the blade all the way into the object because, in all honesty, the wood ones, they don't have enough weight for me to care about using them again. And here, clip this edge. Make sure that we get it nice and wide. And if he didn't have his paper on him, he'd pop right off. And so, make it a bam. Pops right on out of there. No. Forgot I blue tacked that hole. He left some blue tack behind. You see right there, it looks like a little lump of gum. That's not an issue because they get blue tacked. When I use them, I put blue tack on top of them to hold minis. So, no whoop. And then bam. And then come like this. Yeah, pop right out. And this way, on these guys, I won't have to use mold release, which isn't bad. It affects painting a little bit. Makes an extra step for cleanup. I'm not a fan. Okay. So there you go. Much like a candle mold, this guy is ready to be done. He is, so I think a single episode of X-Files later, this new mold is done. I'd say about 1.5 ounces of resin per well, so that's going to make about 9 ounces, so 4.5 ounces of A and 4.5 ounces of B. It's going to make for a quick pour, and this resin doesn't cost much per ounce. It makes these mini holders a couple of pennies. I didn't have to stand and wait, take them off a build plate. Didn't have to do all the silly stuff that comes with an easy design in 3D printing. They're just done. So, here. Now that these are together, now that this mold is ready, I would like to show you guys a pour. Since this one has a lot of lines and it has all these extra registration cuts that I just made, it's banded. Not banded tight. Is a very large gum band, rubber band, wherever you're from, whatever you call it. I call it gum band every now and then. That's a Midwest thing. So he is banded together. All right. The weight of the resin when I pour this is not enough to push the mold apart. There's not enough density in the resin to start splitting this, but the band is there to minimize the appearance of the mold line. Because the appearance of a mold line means excess, means let's do it this way. I said about 9 ounces, so still right about there. That's about 4.5. It's about 9. Okay. So that there's less excess for me to cut off or clean up or sand down, all the fun stuff I have to do. Okay. Make a nice amber honey color. Yeah. Now I'm getting a little wild with it. You could be a little more tame, not get so many bubbles in the epoxy or in the resin. Excuse me. Nope. I'll come back to him. I put a little excess in that first one, so I will knock it back and actually move it down to him, so these guys at least get close to even. Well, all right. So, estimated a little over. That's fine. That's good to know. So 9 was a little too much. Next time I'll take 2 ounces out of it. Yeah. Yeah, so just about 2 ounces on the nose needs to come out of it next time. So I'll do 7 ounces. I have smaller graduated cups that that measure out by single ounces, but they weren't clean, and I was already in the middle of doing the thing, so a scoop doodly doo dude. The end. And here, let me grab another. See if I can't grab another band in time. Here I have this big brick mold. This big brick is actually the neck of a dragon that I'll be using for all the painting demos from now on. Because, gee whiz, isn't it irritating to have to look at somebody trying to teach a simple technique on a tiny, tiny, tiny little miniature and not being able to see it. So I did actually mold the neck of a dragon just for that purpose, so that next time I need to make the effort to show technique and stuff like that, I'm not doing a bunch of excess editing and digital zoom and all kinds of stuff when I can just show you on an object that has plenty of texture and size, just to make it a little bit easier. All right, so there we go. By the time I'm hitting that last mold, I way over measured. But luckily I have all those molds sitting there, so that all that excess didn't go to waste. This guy here, he's already getting there. This one will probably take the longest, I would think. This is just a base. It's a textured base that I made, just for the ease of it. Anything beats a flat base sometimes. Not having to go through. I I'm not a big fan of scenic bases, but it does make a giant difference. There's no doubting that. All right, so that's molding, guys. That's molding with a simple room temperature vulcanizing silicone. This is everything on this table. This is the Aaaand. This is the Moldstar 31T. Yes, Moldstar 31T. Also, you can see I made a mold in a solo cup because I'd accidentally made too much mold. That's a paint bottle. Reaper, it was an empty Reaper bottle I had. Here's the other of the holder jobs. But this guy, this 31T, no extra tools needed. You don't need to worry about degassing. You don't need to worry about all the crazy terms that you could find in mold making videos. Simple. Pour it as long as your house is room temperature, about 70 degrees, which most houses, even in the wintertime, are ambient 70 degrees. I keep mine right around there. I'm actually right next to this workstation here. It's new. It's near my service pipes for the upstairs for my water radiator. So this corner of my house is actually much warmer. Keeps it nice and easy to mitigate the temperature in this area. So it's lovely. So here, let's do an example of the cut line. You see this cut line? He bled out a little bit just because over the use, like I haven't made any effort whatsoever to close this guy yet. Still a little damp, but here's the whole thing of it. Here's what I mean by closing off that mold line. He has a nice extra wing, basically, and that'll hold shape. It's already done cooking. And that's only in the couple of minutes that we've been standing here talking. Yeah, you can see a hair on the outer edge. It's still a little wet on this guy. These guys, though, they're ready to go. Okay. Let's open him up. Okay. Took the band off. Ready. Yep. Get him in frame a little better. Yep. Okay. And you'll feel it. It's nice and warm. Ooh, yes, nice and warm. But in that time, it's done. It's done. It's ready. Ready to be sprayed with some paint and done. But when we banded it together, see, there's no giant crazy excess on them. There's just nice smooth surface and the black spray can from earlier today off my hands. There you go. Nice little mold, nice little mini holder. And I paint, sorry, show you with my actual paint hand. Right-handed anyway, so easy to hold, easy to junk, easy to get your guy exactly where you need to go, blah, 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 blah. Here. Scoop. I can just roll them around in my hand. Nice and easy. A little bit of blue tack. They're all done. I'll be throwing them in anyway. So yeah, paint holders that's how to mold. That's the entire process. It's easier than you think. It's a lot more accessible. I think it's definitely worth the thought if you're thinking about getting a printer, all that kind of stuff. I think I would try to pick up this. I think I would try to pick up molding first, maybe make a, not even a size, you don't have to go sizable input for it. Grab some, I'll make sure all the links to where you can pick this stuff up is available down below. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I'm just head over heels in love with being silly and creative. But here you go. But I would definitely pick up some trial kits if you're interested. I would go with the Moldstar or the Aaaand. The 1-to-1 ratio means that you're getting more volume to work with, which is lovely. And also the simplicity, no weighing, just you can sit them next to each other in Dixie cups and eyeball them. They're all good to go. Nice and easy to learn. Great products. You can also get the smooth cast resin also comes in trial kits that, again, 1-to-1, so you're getting basically a pint and a pint, which is awesome. No weighing, just eyeballing it. It'll go farther than you think. So if you're interested in molding things, trying out resin, definitely worth a shot. And not as giant a leap as putting, whether it be $250 into, I'll remember that. I will remember that resin printer at something. It's a something S. It's a something S. I don't know. All the YouTube creators just got one in the mail. Which it looks like a phenomenal printer for sure. And but even with those being right around $300 for the holiday, that's still a high investment. You can put $70 into trying this out, picking up something off your shelf that you want to try to replicate, that you use a lot of. You got Hearst Arts molds, grab some smooth cast and cast them right in your molds. This stuff, the lower numbers, 320, 321, they are not going to overheat your molds. They will do great. Cast yourself some resin, dungeon tiles, stuff like that. And give that a shot before you decide to go into printing, because going that way, you'll find that, yeah, it's worthwhile to get a printer, and I'm looking into getting another resin printer in the near future-ish. But that printer will be used for making masters. In all honesty, it's easier for me to design on a computer than it is for me to sculpt by hand. I can design on my computer and then print a master of it, and then cast a master and cast as many as I want, and not have to wait 1,000 years to have all the stuff that I want. Just get it done. So, all right, guys, I know it was a long one. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. This is molding, and here, I'm gonna make these. I am gonna sell these painted as well. They'll be available bare, primed, or painted, and not gonna cost you as much as you think. I haven't worked all that out yet, but I'll probably throw these handles into some orders too, because believe it or not, I don't need 1,000 of them, but it doesn't mean I won't have 1,000 of them. All right, guys. See you next time. Bye.